The night sky of Varney's Prime burned red as twin moons hung above the alien slave market. The air was filled with smoke, noise, and the smell of fear. Cages lined the stone hall, filled with beings from 100 worlds, each waiting to be sold. Among them stood a young alien girl named Lyra, her hands tied with metal bands, her pale blue skin bruised, and her silver eyes dim with hopelessness. The market lights flickered over her face as the crowd shouted, laughed, and bargained for slaves. But no one looked at her twice. No one wanted her. The auctioneer, a tall insect-like creature with 4 arms, slapped his tail against the ground. Next, he hissed, his voice echoing across the chamber. He pulled Lyra forward and lifted her chin roughly. "This one, weak but young. Only 70 credits," he shouted. The crowd murmured. Some laughed, others turned away. "She's too small," one alien growled. "Looks half dead," another said. "She's useless," someone else added. Lyra lowered her head, trying not to cry. Her world had been destroyed, her family gone, and now she was here. Unwanted even as a slave. The auctioneer looked annoyed. He lowered the price again. 50 credits. Anyone. Silence. The crowd grew restless. "Throw her to the pits," a deep voice called out from the back. "She'll die in an hour," another voice said, followed by cruel laughter. The auctioneer's mandibles clicked in irritation. He was about to drag Lyra away when the heavy doors of the hall opened with a metallic sound. The laughter stopped. The crowd turned. A tall human man stepped into the market, wearing a dark coat and a half-burned insignia on his chest. His boots echoed on the stone floor as he walked with calm confidence. Humans were rare here, almost never seen. Whispers spread among the crowd. "What's a human doing here? Is he military? Maybe a traitor?" another guessed. The auctioneer bowed slightly, trying to sound polite. "Welcome, human. You are late, but we still have fine stock," he said. The man's eyes moved across the cages slowly, as if searching for something, then his gaze stopped on Lyra. For the first time that night, someone truly looked at her. His eyes were cold, but not cruel. He studied her silently for a few seconds, then spoke. "How much for her?" The crowd fell silent again. The auctioneer blinked his glowing eyes, confused. "This one. She's weak, not worth. I'll take her," the man interrupted, his voice steady and calm. The auctioneer hesitated. He could not understand why anyone would want a broken girl who could barely stand. "Sir, maybe you would prefer," I said. "I'll claim her," the human repeated. Louder this time, the crowd began to whisper again. "Humans buying slaves now. Maybe he has strange tastes. Maybe she's dangerous," someone muttered. Lyra stared at the man, unsure if she should be afraid or thankful. She had seen many cruel masters before. Maybe he was worse. The auctioneer shrugged and nodded. "As you wish, human. She's yours," he said, and handed over the control chip. The man pressed his thumb to it, confirming ownership. Then he turned to Lyra. "Come," he said quietly. His tone was not harsh, but firm. Lyra hesitated, her legs weak. The guards unlocked her cage, and she stepped out, trembling. The human looked at her once more, then at the auctioneer. "Remove the restraints," he ordered. The alien guard looked confused. "But she's a slave." "Not anymore," the human said simply. The guard hesitated, but the human's cold stare made him obey. The metal bands around her wrists opened with a click. Lyra rubbed her sore hands, unsure what to think. The human turned and began walking toward the exit. Lyra followed slowly, still shaking. The crowd watched in silence as the two of them disappeared into the red night. Outside, the wind howled across the dusty streets of the alien city. Lyra tried to speak, her voice weak and soft. "Why? Why did you buy me?" she asked. The man didn't answer immediately. He stopped near a small shuttle parked in the shadows. "Because no one else would," he said finally. Then he opened the door and gestured for her to enter. Lyra hesitated again, then stepped inside. The ship was small but clean, filled with the quiet hum of engines as soon as the door closed. She felt the ship lift from the ground. The market below became smaller and smaller until it vanished into the red clouds. Lyra sat quietly, looking around with wide eyes. The man sat in the pilot's seat, pressing a few buttons before turning to her. "My name is Raiden," he said. "Yours?" "Lyra," she whispered. "Lyra," he repeated, as if testing the sound. "Don't be afraid." "I didn't buy you to own you," he said softly. She didn't answer. No one ever told her not to be afraid. No one ever freed her. Her mind was full of questions. But she stayed silent. Raiden looked forward again. Eyes on the stars ahead, far behind them, unseen in the dark. A small red drone blinked to life and followed their trail. Someone was watching. Someone didn't want Lyra to be free. The ship glided silently through the crimson clouds of Varni's Prime, leaving the noisy, cruel market far behind. Lyra sat on a small bench in the corner of the cabin, her hands still trembling. She could not understand why a human would buy her, someone nobody wanted. Her mind replayed the images of the Marketalian creatures laughing, the auctioneer's harsh voice, the cold metal of the cage. Now, everything was quiet, strange, and safe. She did not trust it. Humans were rare, and the ones she had heard about were powerful, dangerous, or cruel. Yet this one had saved her. Raiden sat in the pilot's chair, hands on the controls, scanning the navigation screens. He spoke without looking back. "You can rest. But stay alert." Lyra frowned, confused. "Rest." Alert, he finally turned, his face serious but calm. "I am not your enemy," he said. "I could have left you at the market. But I did not. You are important." "Lyra," he added, as if saying her name gave it meaning. She stared at him, unsure what he meant. Important? She had always been told she was weak, useless, and unwanted. How could she suddenly be important to a human? Her voice shook as she asked, "Why me? Why not someone else?" Raiden's eyes darkened, a shadow crossing his face. "You have something they want. Something very valuable," he said carefully. Lyra felt a chill. "Who wants me?" She whispered, fear rising in her chest. Raiden did not answer immediately. Instead, he adjusted the ship's course, avoiding a cluster of patrolling drones. "Not everyone knows your value yet," he finally said. "But they will." Lyra pressed her hands against her lap, trying to remember her past. Her family was gone, her planet destroyed. The Zorkoth had hunted her people for years. She had survived, but barely. Now she was alone again. Floating in space with a human she did not trust, Raiden noticed her unease. "You are safe with me, I promise," he said. "You do not have to fear me." She studied his face, searching for lies, but his expression was steady. Not cruel, not selfish, perhaps. For the first time in her life, someone meant what they said. The ship hummed as it left Varni's Prime's atmosphere, entering the vast, empty darkness of space. Lyra could see distant stars through the small window. Their light, cold and distant, she shivered, remembering the auction hall and the cruel aliens who had called her weak. Raiden noticed and leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. "They called you weak," he said quietly, "but weakness is a mask, sometimes. The ones who seem fragile are the strongest." Lyra blinked. Unsure what to say, no one had ever said that to her. Strength had always meant fighting or surviving. But maybe he was right. Suddenly, a warning light blinked on the dashboard. A small red dot appeared on the navigation screen, moving fast toward them. Raiden frowned. Fingers flying over the controls. "They found us," he muttered. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. "Who?" She asked, panic rising. The ones who sold you, he said simply. The Zorkoth Lyra froze, her mind filling with memories of fire and smoke. Of screaming and running, they want you back, Raiden added. And they will not stop. Fear gripped her. Stronger than ever, she wanted to run, to hide. But the ship moved too fast, the stars rushing past. Raiden's calmness gave her a strange comfort. He adjusted the course again, hiding their trail among asteroids. Lyra watched him work, amazed at his skill. "How can you be so calm?" she asked. He looked at her. Eyes serious. Calm does not mean safe. He said, "It means prepared. You need to be prepared too." Lyra frowned, confused. "What can I do?" "Learn," he said simply. "Learn to defend yourself. Learn to think faster than they do, if you survive. It will be because you are smarter and stronger than your enemies. And I will help you." For a moment, Lyra felt a spark of hope. Maybe she was not completely alone. Maybe someone finally believed in her. Raiden looked back at her, his gaze softening slightly. "Do not be afraid, Lyra. I did not buy you to own you. I bought you to save you, and perhaps to give you a chance to change everything." She did not understand all of his words, but she felt their weight, their truth. Her heart beat faster. For the first time in a long while, she believed someone might be on her side. Outside, the small red drone followed silently, unnoticed, a tiny observer in the dark, reporting every move to the ones who wanted Lyra captured. Raiden glanced at the radar, noticing the faint signal. "They are coming," he said quietly. Lyra clenched her fists, determination rising inside her. She would not be taken again. Not without a fight. Raiden smiled faintly. Seeing her resolve, "Good," he said. "This is the beginning, Lyra. The beginning of everything you were meant to do." And as the ship glided through the endless stars, Lyra realized that her journey had truly begun. The human who had claimed her was not just a stranger. He was her protector, her guide, and perhaps the only hope she had. But danger was already on their trail, and the galaxy was not ready to let her go. The stars stretched endlessly outside the ship's small viewport. Cold and distant, Lyra sat quietly on the bench, her hands folded in her lap, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of the control panels. Her mind was full of memories she had tried to forget, flashes of her homeworld, Shiara, burning under the Zorkoth's fire, her family screaming, the ground shaking as alien war machines crushed everything. She shivered, trying to push the thoughts away. Raiden noticed her silence and did not speak immediately. He let her sit with her memories, knowing that she needed to face them herself. After several minutes, he finally spoke, voice low and careful. "You carry more than yourself." "Lyra," he said. She looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" She asked softly. He hesitated, choosing his words with care. "The Zorkoth destroyed your world for a reason," he said. "They were not looking for gold or weapons, or even slaves." Lyra's heart beat faster, fear rising like a wave. What were they looking for? She whispered, almost afraid of the answer. Raiden leaned back in his seat, eyes on the stars. "They were looking for you," he said quietly. Her breath caught in her throat. "Me?" "Yes," Raiden said, his tone calm but firm. "You are not an ordinary girl, Lyra. Your people were keepers of something very powerful. A secret they buried long ago, something the Zorkoth want to control. And you carry it inside you." Lyra shook her head, unable to believe him. "I'm just a girl," she whispered. "Just a weak, broken girl." Raiden shook his head slowly. "No, Lyra. That is what they want you to think. The strongest ones often look the weakest. You are the key to something they cannot take from anyone else." She stared at him, trying to understand, fear and curiosity twisting together inside her. Her memories became sharper, images she had buried long ago resurfacing. She remembered a hidden temple in the mountains of Shiara, filled with glowing crystals and symbols she could not read. Her parents had spoken of it in hushed tones. Calling it the heart of the world, she had been too young to understand. Now, the pieces started to connect, her parents' warnings. The Zorkath's obsession with her planet. Her own strange abilities that had appeared when she was scared or in danger. It was all connected. She had been running from her destiny without knowing it. Raiden studied her closely, noticing the change in her expression. "You remember it now," he said softly. "The temple." "The heart of the world," Lyra nodded slowly. Fear and awe mixing on her face. "They want it," she whispered. "They will destroy everything to get it." Raiden nodded, eyes darkening. "Yes. And that is why I cannot let them take you." Lyra looked down at her hands, remembering the small bursts of glowing energy that had appeared when she had felt cornered in the market. Raiden noticed and smiled faintly. "You have learned to protect yourself without even knowing it," he said. "Your power is part of you, and part of the secret the Zorkath seek." Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared, red lights flashing across the cabin. Raiden's fingers flew over the controls. Eyes sharp and focused. "Enemy ships," he muttered. "They've found us again." Lyra's heart raced. Fear gripping her chest. "They're coming for me," she said. Voice shaking, Raiden placed a hand on her shoulder. Firm but gentle. "They're coming, yes. But we are not running anymore. We will face them." Together, she looked into his eyes, searching for lies, but there were none. Only determination and resolve, for the first time. Lyra felt a strange sense of courage. The ship maneuvered through an asteroid field. Rocks and debris rushing past like deadly giants, the pursuing Zorkoth fighters followed. Relentless and precise, Raiden's ship twisted and spun, evading blasts of energy that could tear them apart in seconds. Lyra gripped the edge of her seat, heart pounding, "Stay down." Raiden shouted. She ducked, her hands trembling. But she felt a surge inside her. A small spark of energy leaped from her fingers. Hitting one of the enemy ships, the ship wobbled and spun out of control. Raiden's eyes widened. "You're stronger than I thought," he said, a hint of amazement in his voice. Lyra looked at her hands, astonished. "What? What did I just do?" She whispered. "You defended yourself," Raiden said simply. "Now you know your power can protect you." The enemy ships disappeared into the distance. But the warning was clear. The Zorkoth would never stop hunting her. Her past was not gone. It was following her. Her destiny was catching up. Raiden set a new course through the stars. Calm and focused. "You need to train, Lyra," he said. "Learn to control your power. Understand the secret you carry. The universe will not wait for you to grow stronger. You must be ready before they return." Lyra nodded slowly. Determination hardening in her chest. She would not be weak anymore. She would face her past, her enemies, and herself. And as the ship glided silently through the infinite darkness of space, Lyra realized that shadows of her past were no longer just memories. They were warnings, guides, and keys to the power she had yet to understand. Her journey had only begun, and the human who claimed her was no longer just a stranger. He was her protector, her guide, and perhaps the only chance she had to survive the dangers ahead. The ship trembled as the last of the Zorkoth fighters vanished behind the asteroid belt. Lyra sat in her seat, heart racing, hands gripping the edge tightly. Her silver eyes shone with a mixture of fear and determination. She had seen what they were capable of, and she knew the danger was far from over. Raiden's hands flew over the controls, his eyes scanning the radar. "We're not safe yet," he said. "The Zorkath have many eyes in this sector. They will not stop chasing you." Lyra swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. "Why are they after me so much?" She whispered. Raiden glanced at her. His expression serious. You carry a secret Lyra. One that can change the galaxy. The Zorkoth want it. And they will destroy anyone who stands in their way. She looked down at her hands, remembering the spark of energy she had unleashed in the fight. A tiny pulse of power, but enough to save them. Raiden noticed her gaze, nodding slowly. You're stronger than you think. And that strength will save you again, suddenly. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across the cabin. Raiden's eyes widened as a warning popped up on the radar. Incoming ship, he said. They've found us again. Faster this time, Lyra's heart pounded, but she forced herself to remain calm. I can help, she said, unsure how. Raiden looked at her. Surprise, you think so? She nodded, energy tingling in her hands. Then do it, he said. Eyes focused on the controls, Lyra concentrated. Reaching deep inside herself, she felt the warmth of her hidden power. Glowing faintly in her veins, the ship's hull shivered as she focused on the enemy fighter. A surge of energy leaped from her hands. Striking the ship's engines, the enemy craft wobbled, sparks flying as it spiraled out of control. Raiden's mouth opened in astonishment. You did that? From inside the ship. He asked. Lyra nodded, a small smile breaking through her fear. I think I can control it more if I practice, she said. Raiden's eyes softened. You're learning fast, Lyra. Faster than anyone I've ever trained. The pursuing ships disappeared into the darkness of the asteroid belt. Raiden adjusted the course. Weaving through massive rocks with expert precision, Lyra held onto the bench, feeling the rush of speed and the hum of the engines. The stars outside blurred as the ship moved faster. Suddenly, a massive shadow appeared ahead. Blocking their path, a Zorkoth dreadnought. Enormous and menacing, rose from the darkness. Its cannons glowing red. Raiden's jaw tightened. They were waiting, he said grimly. They want you back. And they won't stop. Lyra's hands tingled with energy. A surge of power she could feel building inside her. I can help, she said again. Voice firmer this time, Raiden glanced at her. Hope flickering in his eyes. Then do it. Lyra, focus. She closed her eyes, reaching deep, feeling the heartbeat of the ship and the universe around her. Energy flowed through her, glowing brighter, hotter, stronger. She raised her hands, aiming at the dreadnought. A wave of light shot from her fingers, hitting the massive ship's shields. The ship rocked violently, alarms blaring. The dreadnought staggered, sparks flying along its hull. Raiden's mouth opened in surprise and admiration. You're incredible, he said. Lyra felt a thrill, but she knew it was not over. The enemy ship began firing back. Massive energy blasts streaking toward them. Raiden twisted the controls. Evading the attacks, Lyra focused again, sending pulses of her energy to deflect some of the shots. She realized she could protect the ship, protect Raiden. Her fear began to fade. Replaced by determination, we can do this, she shouted. Raiden smiled faintly, concentration never leaving his eyes. Yes, we can, but stay sharp. The asteroid field became a dangerous maze of rocks and debris. Raiden expertly weaved through, while Lyra used her energy to disable small enemy drones chasing them. The Zorkoth dreadnought followed relentlessly, its massive guns blazing. Raiden glanced at Lyra, nodding toward the largest asteroid. Get ready. We're going to make a run between those two rocks. It's risky, but it's our only chance. Lyra nodded. Feeling her power surge, she concentrated. Ready to strike at the right moment, the ship shot forward at full speed, dodging rocks and blasting past enemy fire. Lyra aimed a concentrated beam of energy at the dreadnought's engines. The massive ship groaned and wobbled. Sparks flying, Raiden twisted the controls again. Narrowly avoiding debris, the dreadnought faltered. then exploded in a huge flash of red and orange. The shockwave pushed their ship, but Raiden held it steady. Lyra's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and awe on her face. They won't bother us for a while, Raiden said. Good work, Lyra. You're getting stronger every moment, as the ship glided silently through the calm darkness of space again. Lyra slumped back, exhausted but exhilarated. She realized she was not a helpless girl anymore. Her power, her courage, her bond with Raiden had changed. The universe was dangerous. The Zorkoth relentless, but for the first time, she felt she could survive, and perhaps, one day, fight back. The ship floated silently through the blackness of space, stars streaking past like silver threads. Lyra sat in the corner, still trembling from the recent battle. But a strange warmth flowed through her. She looked at Raiden, who adjusted the navigation controls with steady hands. Eyes sharp and focused. You saved us, she said quietly. Raiden glanced at her, expression serious but calm. We saved ourselves, he replied. You did more than you realize, Lyra. Your power is not just for defense. It is part of something much bigger. Lyra frowned, confused. Bigger. What do you mean? Raiden leaned back, his gaze distant. Your people, the Shi'ara, were not ordinary. They were guardians of something ancient, something powerful. Long before the Zorkoth, before the wars. Your ancestors protected a secret called the core of Shi'ara. Lyra's eyes widened. Memories surfacing like faint echoes, her parents had whispered about a hidden temple in the mountains. They called it the heart of the world. She had been too young to understand. Now, fragments of those memories returned, glowing faintly in her mind. Raiden continued, voice low and steady. The Zorkoth destroyed your planet because they wanted it. Not just the land, not just the people, but the core. The ancient power your ancestors hid, and you, Lyra, carry its link within you. Lyra shook her head, disbelief twisting her features. Me? I'm just a girl. I don't even know how to control my power fully, she whispered. Raiden's eyes softened. Power does not always show in strength. It shows in survival, in courage, in the choices you make. Lyra looked down at her hands. Remembering the energy that had erupted during the escape, she had protected them without thinking. Instinctively, could this be what he meant? The ship jolted suddenly, throwing Lyra against the wall. Raiden's hands moved over the controls with practiced speed. Enemy scout. He shouted. Lyra pushed herself up, feeling a surge of energy in her chest before Raiden could react. She aimed her hands toward the approaching ship. A stream of light shot out, striking it and sending sparks flying. The scout ship tumbled out of control. Raiden's eyes widened in surprise and admiration. You're learning fast, he said. Lyra exhaled shakily, energy fading as she sat down. I didn't know I could do that, she admitted. You were meant to, he replied softly. Your connection to the core is stronger than I realized. The ship continued through deep space. Moving away from the last danger, Lyra felt a mixture of excitement and fear. She had power, yes, but also responsibility. Raiden noticed her silence and spoke again. Voice careful. Soon you will understand what the core can do. It is not just a weapon, it is knowledge, guidance, and strength. It chooses its guardian carefully. And it chose you. Lyra's heart raced. Why me? She asked. Raiden hesitated, then said, because your ancestors trusted you. Because you survived when others could not, because you are brave. Even when you think you are weak. She remembered the temple, the glowing crystals, the energy humming beneath her feet. Her parents had led her there as a child, telling her to be strong. Now, she understood their warnings were more than lessons. They were preparation for what she was to become. Raiden turned to her, voice low but urgent. "The Zorkoth will stop at nothing. Lyra, they want the core. And they want you. You cannot hide from it, and you cannot run forever. You must learn to control your power before they find you again." Lyra nodded, determination hardening in her chest. "I will," she said softly. "I will learn." Raiden reached into a compartment and pulled out a small, ancient-looking device, glowing faintly. "This," he said, holding it carefully, "is a fragment of the core, a guide for you. It will help you focus your energy, understand your connection, and unlock the abilities hidden inside you." Lyra reached for it, feeling the warmth of its energy. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, as if alive. She held it close, feeling strength fill her. Raiden's eyes softened, a rare smile crossing his face. "You are not alone, Lyra. The core is with you. And so am I. Together, we can face what comes outside." The stars stretched endlessly, dark and mysterious, but inside the small cabin, Lyra felt a new light burning within her. She was not just a frightened girl anymore. She was the guardian of an ancient secret, a spark of hope in a galaxy filled with darkness. Her journey had taken her far from the slave market, far from the fear and cruelty she had known. But the Zorkoth were still out there, hunting her, and the core called to her, whispering secrets she had yet to understand. Raiden glanced at her, calm but watchful. "You are ready to begin, Lyra," he said. "Ready to face the secrets of your past and the dangers of your future?" Lyra nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. "I'm ready," she whispered. The ship moved forward through the endless stars, carrying them both toward destiny, danger, and discovery. The ship drifted silently through the void of space, a small dot among countless stars. Lyra stood in the training room, stretching her arms and legs, muscles tight from fear and adrenaline. Raiden watched her from across the room, his eyes calm but alert. "You have potential," he said. "But potential alone is not enough. You must learn control, precision, and focus." Lyra frowned, frustrated. "I've never done this before," she whispered. Raiden walked toward her, stepping lightly. "Then, now's the time to start," he said. "You are stronger than you think. But strength without control can be dangerous." The first lesson was simple but exhausting. Raiden guided her through small bursts of energy, teaching her to direct her power. At first, her hands shook, sparks flying in every direction. A single burst knocked over a chair, and Lyra gasped, "I can't do it." She shouted, frustrated. Raiden shook his head. "Calm and patient. You can, Lyra. You just need to trust yourself. Fear clouds your power, and doubt makes it unstable. Focus, breathe, and let the energy flow through you, not against you." Lyra closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and tried again. This time, the spark from her fingers moved exactly where she wanted it. A small glowing ball hovered in the air before fading. Raiden nodded, a faint smile appearing. "Better," he said. "You are learning." Hours passed, and Lyra grew tired, but stronger. Raiden pushed her carefully, showing her how to defend herself, control her powers, and think quickly. They simulated attacks with holographic enemies, beams of energy and laser blasts flashing around them. At first, Lyra struggled, nearly collapsing under the pressure. But each time she fell, Raiden encouraged her. "You are not weak, Lyra. Every failure teaches you something. Learn from it, and you will survive." She began to trust his guidance, feeling a connection she had never felt before. It was strange, but comforting. In the middle of endless space, with danger always near, she felt a sense of safety for the first time in her life. During a break, Lyra sat on the floor, wiping sweat from her brow. Raiden joined her, sitting across from her. Watching her quietly, "You're improving faster than I expected," he said. Lyra looked up, surprised. Faster? She asked. Yes, he replied. You have natural skill. But more than that, you have determination, courage, and intelligence, qualities most people never discover in their lives. Lyra felt a small warmth in her chest. For the first time, someone believed in her without fear or doubt. Raiden continued, voice low but steady. You must also trust me, Lyra. The universe is not kind. And we will face enemies you cannot imagine, but together we can survive. And perhaps even win. Lyra studied his face. Searching for any hint of deceit, there was none. Only calm, confidence. And experience? She nodded slowly, a small smile forming. I'll trust you, she said softly. Raiden's expression softened. And I'll trust you, Lyra. You are not a child anymore. You are the guardian of a secret that can change the galaxy. And that makes you invaluable. The lessons continued, hours blending into days. Raiden taught her not only to control her powers, but also how to read opponents, anticipate danger, and act quickly. Lyra began to understand the flow of energy, feeling it like a rhythm inside her. She could sense small disturbances in the ship. The hum of engines, even minor changes in Raiden's breathing. It was strange, powerful, and exciting. She started experimenting, sending small pulses of energy through objects, bending light and creating sparks that danced in the air. Raiden observed quietly, letting her explore while correcting mistakes. You are ready for more, he said. One day, soon. You will face enemies who do not hesitate to kill. And you must be able to protect yourself and others without fear. One evening, Lyra sat alone near the viewport, staring at distant stars. Raiden joined her silently, not speaking at first. I never thought I could feel safe again, she said softly. He nodded, understanding her unspoken pain. Safety is rare, Lyra, but it is possible when you trust yourself and those who fight with you. She looked at him, eyes wide. Do you really believe I can do this? Raiden's gaze met hers, steady and unwavering. Yes, Lyra, I believe in you. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to fight, to learn, and to survive. A sudden alert blinked on the dashboard. Red lights flashing, Raiden stood instantly. Moving to the controls, the Zorkoth, he muttered. They found a lead on your location. Lyra felt a surge of adrenaline, her hands tingling with energy, but she also felt confidence, hard-earned from the days of training. She stood beside Raiden, ready, together. They would face the danger. Together, they would survive. And for the first time, Lyra knew she could. As the ship moved silently through the void, stars stretching endlessly around them, a bond of trust formed between human and alien. Teacher and student, it was fragile, new, but unbreakable in the face of the coming storm. And Lyra knew that the galaxy was about to test everything she had learned. She was no longer a frightened girl from the slave market. She was a warrior in training, a guardian of an ancient secret. And the next challenge would decide not only her fate, but the fate of countless worlds. The ship glided silently through the endless darkness of space, stars streaking past like shards of light. Lyra stood near the viewport, hands trembling slightly, still feeling the power surge from her training. Raiden monitored the controls, his face calm but tense, eyes scanning every signal for danger. Suddenly, a warning flashed across the dashboard, red and urgent. Multiple ships approaching, Raiden muttered, jaw tightening. He moved swiftly, adjusting the shields and boosting the engines. Lyra watched the screen, her heart pounding. Who are they? She asked, fear lacing her voice. Raiden's face darkened. Earth Command, he said quietly. They've sent agents to capture you. Lyra froze, disbelief flooding her. Earth. Why would they want me? Raiden's expression softened, but his eyes remained focused. "They've learned about the core and your abilities," he explained. "They think they can use you for their own purposes. You are too valuable to ignore." Lyra's stomach churned. "Use me? But you saved me from the Zorkoth," she whispered. Raiden nodded, his jaw tight. "I did. And I will not let them hurt you, but they are persistent. And they have resources beyond what we can fight alone." Lyra's hands clenched. Energy tingling in her fingers, she felt fear, anger, and betrayal all at once. Her mind raced, remembering the slave market. The cruelty she had escaped, and now another betrayal by the people she had thought she could trust. The first Earth agent ship appeared, sleek and fast, cutting through the void toward them. Raiden twisted the controls expertly, evading the initial attacks. Lyra felt a surge of energy inside her. Power trembling on the edge of control. "I can fight." She shouted, determination hardening her voice. Raiden glanced at her, a small, approving nod. "Good. Focus it carefully, Lyra. Do not waste energy." "Strike with precision," she raised her hands, sending a beam of glowing light toward the agent ship. It rocked violently, systems sparking. Raiden maneuvered the ship through the chaos, shielding them both, but more ships were arriving. Relentless and precise. Suddenly, a transmission came through the comm system, calm and authoritative. Raiden surrendered the subject immediately, or face destruction, a cold voice said. Raiden's eyes narrowed, and he pressed a button. "Cutting the transmission, they're serious," Lyra said, energy sparking at her fingertips. "I know," Raiden replied. He looked at her, conflicted and tense. "I need to make a choice," he muttered. Lyra's heart sank, fear rising. "What? What do you mean?" she asked, panic creeping in. Raiden's jaw tightened, and he pressed another control, lowering the shield slightly. "I may have to sacrifice my freedom to keep you alive," he said. Lyra's eyes widened, disbelief and horror mixing. "Raiden, no. Don't," she shouted, but before she could react, a massive beam struck the ship, shaking it violently. Raiden wrestled with the controls. Fighting to stabilize the ship, the Earth agents boarded, beams of light cutting through the cabin. Raiden pushed Lyra behind a console, shielding her with his body. "Go," he shouted, handing her a small, glowing data chip. "What is this?" she cried, barely catching it. "It's the core coordinates," he said. "You must escape with it, Lyra. Trust me, I cannot go with you, or they will kill us both." Lyra's hands trembled as she held the chip, the weight of destiny pressing down on her. "No, Raiden. I can't leave you." He smiled faintly, pain flickering in his eyes. "You can, and you must," he said. "Survive, Lyra. Protect the secret. I will find you when I can." The agents were closing in, their weapons glowing. Lyra took a deep breath. Feeling the core's energy thrumming through the chip, she raised her hands, sending a pulse of energy that knocked several agents back. The ship trembled, alarms screaming. She rushed toward the escape pod, slipping inside just as Raiden engaged the agents to buy her time. The hatch closed, sealing her inside. Lyra pressed the launch button, heart hammering in her chest. The pod shot forward, leaving the main ship behind. She watched through the viewport as Raiden fought. Energy blasts lighting the darkness, tears filled her eyes. He had risked everything for her, even now, and she had no choice but to escape alone, carrying the core secret and the weight of their mission. Outside, the pod rocketed into the void. Stars rushing past, Lyra pressed the data chip to her chest. Energy flowing through her fingertips, she felt the core's guidance, whispering secrets she did not fully understand. Her fear was replaced by determination. She would survive, she would protect the secret, and she would find Raiden. The betrayal of Earth's command had shaken her, but it also made her stronger. She was no longer just a frightened girl from the slave market. She was a survivor, a guardian, and the key to a power that could change the galaxy. As the pod disappeared into the blackness of space, Lyra realized one painful truth. Raiden had given everything to save her. And now, it was her turn to fight, to trust herself, and to face the dangers alone. But for the first time, she did not feel helpless. The core's energy hummed in her hands, her power ready to awaken fully, and somewhere in the darkness, the galaxy waited, dangerous, relentless, and full of secrets. Lyra's journey had taken a turn into betrayal and loss. But she would rise, stronger than before, and the universe would never forget her name. The escape pod drifted silently through the blackness of space, stars glimmering like distant fireflies. Lyra sat clutching the glowing data chip, her silver eyes reflecting its warm light. Her heart pounded, not from fear alone, but from the strange energy thrumming through her. The core, the secret her ancestors had protected, was alive in her hands. It pulsed like a heartbeat, whispering in a language she did not fully understand. A language older than the stars themselves. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing, and felt the energy flow through her veins. It was warm, powerful, and familiar. She had never felt anything like it before. Suddenly, the pod shuddered as the core's energy surged violently. Lyra gasped, her hands glowing brightly. The chip vibrated and lifted slightly into the air, hovering above her palms. She could see images in the glow, her homeworld, Shiara, the temple in the mountains, and strange symbols she had never seen before. A voice echoed in her mind, calm yet commanding. Lyra, guardian, awake. Her eyes widened, energy sparking across her fingertips. I can hear it. She whispered, astonished. Yes, the voice responded. You carry the heart of the world, the legacy of your people. And now it is time to awaken fully. The pod trembled again, energy swirling around Lyra, lifting her slightly off the floor. She gritted her teeth, focusing. Trying to control the flow, the core pulsed stronger, revealing new visions, planets under threat, Zorkath fleets, and humans seeking to harness her power. A surge of determination filled her. She would not let anyone control the core. She would not allow destruction. She had escaped the slave market, the betrayals, and the battles. And now, she was ready to embrace her destiny. Raiden's voice came through the comm system, static crackling. Lyra, are you all right? She clutched the chip, energy still humming around her. I'm fine. More than fine, she said, voice steady. I can feel it. The core Raiden's tone was urgent. You need to calm it, or the pod won't survive the next jump. Lyra took a deep breath. Focusing her mind, slowly, the energy stabilized. Flowing gently like a river through her hands, the glow dimmed to a steady pulse. She felt connected, powerful, and ready. The core whispered again, this time clearer, guiding her. Seek the temple of Shiara, where your ancestors' legacy awaits. You will learn control, you will learn strength. And the enemies who pursue you will be challenged. Lyra nodded, absorbing every word, determination blazing in her chest. She could feel her body changing slightly, senses sharper, energy stronger. She was no longer just a frightened girl from the market. She was a guardian, a beacon, and a force to be reckoned with. Suddenly, the pod sensors detected multiple fast-moving ships approaching. The Zorkoth had tracked her core signature again. Relentless and precise, Lyra's silver eyes narrowed, hands glowing with power. I'm ready, she whispered to herself. Raiden's voice came through the comm again. Calm but tense. Hold steady, Lyra. Focus your energy. She concentrated. Feeling the core respond to her will, energy burst from her hands, forming protective barriers around the pod. The first wave of enemy blasts hit the shields and dissipated. Sparks flying into space. Lyra's heart raced. But she felt confidence. She was no longer running. She was fighting. The core pulsed again, showing visions of the temple hidden on a distant, uncharted planet. Lyra understood instinctively where she needed to go. "This is it," she said softly. "The place my ancestors prepared for me." Raiden adjusted the course toward the coordinates she described, eyes widening at her sudden certainty. "You know where to go?" he asked, amazed. I feel it," she replied, energy flowing visibly around her hands. "The core is guiding me." Raiden nodded, silent awe in his expression. "You're ready, Lyra?" More ready than anyone could be, as the pod glided toward the distant planet. Lyra's confidence grew. The core's energy hummed like a heartbeat in harmony with her own. She was no longer afraid, no longer helpless. She was a warrior, a guardian, a protector of an ancient legacy. The stars streaked past like silver arrows, the galaxy waiting for her to awaken fully. And somewhere deep in the cosmos, unseen forces prepared to test her strength, her courage and her resolve, but Lyra was ready. The core's awakening had begun, and nothing would stop her from claiming her destiny. The distant planet loomed ahead, shrouded in swirling green clouds. Jagged mountains piercing the mist. Lyra's silver eyes glowed faintly. Reflecting the light of the core in her hands, she could feel the energy guiding her, pulsing stronger as they approached. "This is it," she whispered, awe and determination in her voice. Raiden piloted the pod carefully, weaving between rocky spires and deep valleys. "The sensors show no life forms, but we must be cautious," he said. Lyra nodded, her hands trembling slightly. Not from fear, but from the core's power humming inside her. The pod landed gently on a plateau, the ground glowing faintly under the core's influence. Lyra stepped out, feeling the energy course through her body. The air was thick, charged with an electric tension. Mountains loomed on all sides, their peaks sharp and unyielding. She could see ruins in the distance. Ancient stones arranged in patterns she instinctively recognized, the temple. She murmured, voice full of wonder. Raiden followed, his hand resting lightly on the blaster at his side. "This place feels alive," he said. "Yes," Lyra replied, energy sparkling from her fingertips. "It's waiting for me," as they approached. The ruins transformed before their eyes. Stones rising and shifting, forming walls, pathways, and arches bathed in faint blue light. The core hummed louder, responding to her presence. Lyra stepped forward, awe replacing fear. Her hands glowed as she raised them. The temple responding to her energy, ancestors. She whispered, tears forming. "This is your gift to me." Raiden stayed close, scanning the area carefully. "You feel the power too, don't you?" he asked. Lyra nodded, eyes wide. "It's incredible." But overwhelming. Raiden's voice was calm. "Focus, Lyra. The temple will guide you. But only if you trust yourself." Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low rumble echoing through the mountains. Energy arcs leaped across the temple ruins, forming glowing pathways in the air. Lyra felt the core pull her forward, instinctively following the trails of light. Each step she took, the energy pulsed stronger, revealing visions of her ancestors protecting the planet, their faces stern yet proud. "You're ready," a voice echoed in her mind. "Yes." "I am ready," Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. She reached a massive stone arch, glowing with intricate symbols she could now understand. The core guided her hands, tracing the ancient patterns. Light shot from the stones, illuminating the entire temple in brilliant azure. Raiden watched, stunned by the sight. "I've never seen anything like this," he said. Lyra ignored him, her focus completely on the core and the temple. She felt energy building, flowing through her like a river of light. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the temple entrance. A dark presence cutting through the glow. Lyra froze, recognizing the unmistakable shape of a Zorkoth commander. Massive and menacing. "They've found us," Raiden said quietly. Drawing his blaster, Lyra's hands flared. Energy crackling around her. "I'm ready," she whispered. Stepping forward, the commander advanced. Weapons glowing, Raiden fired carefully, keeping the enemy at bay. But Lyra knew she had to act. The core guiding her every move, she raised her hands, releasing a surge of energy that formed a protective barrier around the temple. The Zorkoth commander's attacks bounced harmlessly off. Sparks flying, Lyra's silver eyes glowed brighter. Her fear replaced by power and purpose. She could feel the core responding to her will. Amplifying her strength, the temple itself seemed to awaken. Stones moving to block the enemy's path. The commander roared. Frustration and rage in its voice, but Lyra advanced. Each step sending waves of energy across the ground. The core pulsed with increasing intensity. Guiding her hands, she reached out, sending a beam of concentrated energy at the commander. Striking it squarely, the creature staggered, its armor cracking under the force. Raiden's eyes widened, impressed. "You're incredible," he shouted. Lyra nodded, energy still crackling around her. "I know what I have to do," she whispered, determination blazing in her voice. The commander lunged again, but the temple's energy flared. Walls shifting to protect her, Lyra focused all her power. The core connecting fully with her, a massive beam of light erupted from her hands. Striking the commander and sending it flying back into the mountains, it roared in defeat, then vanished. Leaving silence in its wake, Lyra sank to her knees. Exhausted but exhilarated, the core pulsed gently, the temple glowing in response. Raiden approached, awe and relief on his face. "You did it," he said softly. Lyra smiled faintly, her hands still glowing. "Yes," she whispered. "The temple has accepted me. I am its guardian and the core. The core is mine to protect." Outside, the planet's mountains gleamed under the twin suns, energy flowing like rivers of light. The temple had awakened fully, revealing secrets and power long hidden. Lyra stood, strength and purpose filling her body. Raiden by her side, she knew they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was still dangerous, enemies still hunted her. But the Temple of Shiara had awakened her fully. She was no longer a frightened girl, no longer helpless. She was the guardian of an ancient secret, and nothing in the universe could stop her now. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent and cold. Lyra stood at the edge of the Temple of Shiara, the core glowing brightly in her hands. Raiden stood beside her, eyes scanning the darkness. Blaster ready for the first time, Lyra felt fully in control. Her fear had been replaced with determination and power. The Zorkoth commander they had fought before would not forgive her escape. And now, an entire fleet had arrived, surrounding the planet. "They've brought reinforcements," Raiden muttered. Jaw tight, Lyra's silver eyes narrowed, energy crackling around her fingertips. "They will not take the core," she said firmly. "Not while I stand here." The first wave of Zorkoth ships descended, energy weapons blazing. Lyra raised her hands, and the core responded instantly. Forming a dome of shimmering light around the temple, blasts struck the barrier. Sparks flying, but it held firm. Raiden fired carefully, taking out approaching ships with precision. Lyra focused on the core, feeling its energy merge with her own. She realized she could control it, direct it, and amplify its power. The Zorkoth commander appeared again, larger and more terrifying than before. Its armor glowed red. Weapons bristling. "You cannot escape, human-alien hybrid," it growled. "I will destroy you and claim the core." Lyra stepped forward, hands glowing, core energy swirling around her. "I am not afraid," she said, voice steady. "You will not have it," the commander lunged. Energy weapon blazing, the temple responded. Stones shifting, walls rising, Lyra raised her hands, sending a blast of core energy that met the commander's attack head-on. The impact shook the ground, waves of light rippling across the mountains. Raiden fired carefully, supporting her, taking down smaller enemy ships, but the commander advanced again. Faster, more determined, Lyra's hands glowed brighter. Silver eyes shining with raw power, she felt the core respond to her will. Pulsing in time with her heartbeat, suddenly, memories of her ancestors flooded her mind, their courage, wisdom, and determination filled her with strength. She realized the core's true purpose. It was not just a weapon. It was a guide, a teacher, a protector. She drew on every lesson, every struggle. Every moment of training with Raiden, the commander struck again, powerful and relentless, but Lyra met it head-on. Energy surging from her hands, the core pulsed with blinding intensity. Surrounding her in a halo of light, she felt connected to the planet, the temple, and her ancestors. A surge of power erupted. Blasting the commander backward, it roared in defeat, staggering against the mountains. Sparks flying, the remaining fleet hesitated, sensing the overwhelming power. Lyra's silver eyes glowed brighter, energy crackling around her. She stepped forward, raising the core. "I am the Guardian," she shouted. "The core belongs to no one but me, and I will protect it." Blinding light shot from her hands, creating waves of energy that tore through the fleet. Ships exploded, engines failing, weapons destroyed. Raiden watched in awe, heart racing. "You did it, Lyra," he shouted. She smiled faintly, exhausted but exhilarated. "The core. It's finally mine to protect," she said. The commander roared one last time, defeated, then vanished into the void. Silence returned, the stars calm once again. Lyra sank to her knees, hands still glowing. Energy slowly settling, Raiden approached. Placing a hand on her shoulder, "You've done more than survive, Lyra. You've become a true guardian," he said softly. She looked at him, gratitude and determination in her eyes. "Thank you, Raiden," she whispered, "for trusting me, for teaching me, for saving me." He smiled faintly, eyes reflecting pride. "You had it in you all along, Lyra. You just needed to see it." The temple of Shiara glowed softly. Stone settling into place, energy flowing gently. Lyra felt the core's pulse, calm and strong. She realized she had grown, transformed from a frightened girl from the slave market to a warrior, a protector, a beacon of hope. The galaxy would always have dangers, enemies lurking in the darkness, but now she was ready. Raiden and she would face them together, and nothing could break the bond forged in battle, trust and courage. Lyra stood, the core humming in her hands, energy radiating outward. "I am ready for whatever comes next," she said, voice steady. Raiden nodded, eyes scanning the stars. The universe was vast, dangerous and unpredictable, but they had survived, grown stronger, and claimed a power older than the stars themselves. The temple of Shiara had awakened, the core fully connected with its guardian, and the galaxy would never be the same. Lyra smiled, energy shimmering around her. "I am no longer afraid," she whispered. "I am the guardian of the core, and I will protect it. No matter the cost." The stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the rise of a new force. Lyra and Raiden stood together, ready to face the future. Enemies may come, darkness may return, but the core had chosen its guardian, and the galaxy would remember her name forever.